many fans you were in this year.
Hello and welcome back to round 2 coverage of the 2023 Swedish Open. We are at the beautiful Ymergårdens Discgolfcenter in Borås, Sweden, towards the south, and we are happy to be bringing you round 2 back 9 FPO lead card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Lukanen.
What's up? Thank you, Connor, and once again, excited to look at this back 9 that is very scoreable, yet no easy. As we take a look at the top 10, Silva Saarinen with a commanding lead, 4 strokes over the field. Second one on the list, Lennartsson, actually not even on our lead card, but making that push from the chase, shooting 3 under on the front. After that, Anniken from our card, Sofia and Amanda tied for 4th.
Yeah, they call it moving day for a reason. These players will all be looking to set themselves up for the final round tomorrow, but still with 9 exciting holes to go before we get there, we start on hole 10.
Yeah, and hole 10. Good chance to set yourself up for that birdie that we didn't see that many on the front 9. It's only 74 meters. You want to throw something slow, ideally in mid-range or a putter. Hopefully match the curve of the fairway and bend slightly to the right at the end. There's that OB long, only about 7 meters long off the basket, so important to have that good speed control here. Also height control, because there is a bit of a ceiling if you throw it too high.
Anniken pushing the left-handed backhand hyzer flip, getting it up to flat for a moment and then fading out just shy of the chains. A really nice and accurate shot. But you saw, even with a solid line, very close to bringing that OB into play. Anniken looks to be safe though, and Amanda firing into the green as well. Fortunate sit down, it looks like, to be safe.
Yeah, also a lot of speed on the disc, but maybe the steep anhyzer angles slowing the disc down once it hit the ground. Silva also flying it all the way to the basket. None of these players really interested about leaving the disc a little bit short and avoiding that OB, going long with no fear. As Marianne also throws a great line. Actually gets a big skip, but hits a tree. Hopefully not the cameraman there.
So you see Anniken up first for her birdie putt, just a bit low. It's interesting seeing in some of these wooded courses a diverse group of players, because some will really prefer to hit gaps in the woods with a smooth, soft shot. Some people prefer to throw a hard, driven shot. And we saw all of them contend with that OB long as Amanda comes up just a little bit short. May speak to their comfort and preferred lines in the woods. But Silva making sure to put that one in and secure the birdie here as she sneaks her round to 1 under.
Yeah, you can see that quick delivery from Silva, knowing that staring at the basket does not do good for her commitment to the putt. Marianne with a bit more of a longer routine, staring that basket down before jamming it in the middle there. Very interesting to see the different routines of these players, all performing at a high level, but those different styles still coming into play.
Yeah, I think one of the most beautiful things about this sport, everyone's trying to do the same thing, but going about it a slightly different way really allows for some creativity on the course.
Yep. This hole 11 also needs a creative shot. 89 meters. You're first trying to throw the disc straight with a very hard and glidey right finish. Ideally for the right-handed players, throw something straight with a very understable turn to the right. Hopefully get that full glide all the way up the hill. For the left-handed players, throw a high gliding hyzer that pushes to the right the whole entire way. Silva going very high here, hoping to keep that turn all the way throughout the flight, but pushes it a little bit too long.
Yeah, it looks like it was going to maintain the integrity of that nice turnover angle, but catching a branch along the way. You can see there that by playing with the height, you're also narrowing the potential gap as Marianne fires a nice shot that settles just within the circle. she'll be looking to collect her birdie, maybe potentially even 2 in a row on this back 9. And Anniken pushing a little bit straight, but still with a good overstable finish to her disc. She catches a branch and will have a long look up the hill. Finally now, Amanda.
That's a very late release there. Missing the first gap and gonna leave a difficult approach. Interesting to see whether she decides to go straight, as she actually does, going through the narrowest gap. Hopefully putting that disc close, kicks outside the circle, and that's gonna be a long par putt, while everybody else has a chance for birdie here.
We see Silva from the bottom of the hill. Did look like Amanda had a great line on that disc, just with so many late gaps to hit, not quite clearing them all. Anniken now with her putt up the hill, as you mentioned. The other 3 players putting for birdie. This is Amanda here for her par save. Still some work to do, opting for the straddle with 1 small tree left in her way. Incredible. Gets it around the tree, over the cage, in the chains. You see her run to collect that one.
Yeah, great putt and a great save. As we see Marianne just missing to the left side of the basket. Obviously, left side being the strong side for that left-hand spin. Just far enough out of the pole to not let us see any birdies from the card. So all pars here. I'm sure Amanda is very much fine with that result, with her tee shot not losing any strokes to the card. As we move up the hill to hole 12, 161 meters par 4. Off the tee you really want to throw something straight and low, hopefully stay on the wood chips. Anything on the wood chips on this fairway, really no matter the distance, as long as you get at least a bit of a chunk out of the first shot is good. From there, depending how far you went with your first shot, you have a slight anhyzer flex to the green, or if you went really far, might even have a straight to hyzer look. It's a pretty wide fairway, but the chips are very skippy, so often you see people hitting the wood chips and fading out or skipping out.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the level of risk these players choose to take. We see Silva with the driver in her hand play a soft hyzer, flipped up to flat, and had just a very gentle finish to the left. I think more of a placement shot than Silva, potentially trying to get some of that big distance that she's shown to have. Marianne here with a lower, more driven shot, but connecting to the ground a touch early. I think although she wanted to try and collect a bit more distance, the height preventing her from doing so. We'll see what line Anniken opts for.
With the lefty especially, it is easy to fade to the right side of the fairway, as if you go off the wood chips, it is slightly sloping to the right. But that's very good position for both of the lefties on the card. With right hand spin, you have a little bit more room for error if you're fading to the left. Although Amanda making the opposite mistake and turning it over early into the woods, not likely having any sort of chance for birdie, as we see her just chipping to the fairway.
And now still with a very demanding shape. She has a slight early release on that. Not quite able to turn it over through the gap. Marianne still looking to find that birdie from this line. She pushes that tree line and kicks back to the middle. Fortunate, and might be a bit of a strange thing to say, but long enough of a putt that hopefully she doesn't put too much pressure on herself and can run it freely. Obviously, you'd like to be closer, but she's shown to have some struggles from that 5 to 7 meter range. Perhaps having a little bit further of a putt can alleviate some of that mental pressure players sometimes put on themselves.
Yeah, that's very true. It's almost relieving to have a putt that you don't have to make, as looks like pretty much everybody on the card, besides Amanda obviously, is gonna have a long look for the birdie. Amanda having to settle for that bogey, unfortunately. And as we see, Marianne still a little bit tentative on the run, leaving it short right side. Let's see if Anniken can make better work of this.
Oh, a good height on there, just not enough pace to battle over the cage, but definitely gave it sort of a floaty bid Silva now tucked a little bit behind the tree. Beautiful birdie putt to secure that one. Not sure from that angle how much that was in her putting stroke, but a great hyzer release angle. And Amanda with a good strong side putt. If anything, maybe a little bit high, but does not stick that one either. Marianne coming back here for par. And that was also very high and quite on the outside, but fortunate to get a nice grab there from the basket.
Yeah, Silva really gaining some strokes on the putting green on this hole. And strong start to the back nine for Silva. Already 2 under through the first 3 holes, compared to Amanda, for example, going 2 over after that double bogey. Moving on to the difficult hole 13. Well, not super difficult, but certainly no gimme, as you have to throw something straight and push either around to the right or around to the left side of this middle tree you see on the drone flight right now. If you navigate around that tree, you need to be pushing you still need to be pushing straight for a good 25 meters to find yourself inside the circle on this hole. As you can see, the gap is not huge and very easy to find some trees on this hole, as Silva looks to be throwing the perfect shot here.
And a great use of the backstop there. Fortunate to sit down. She's been firing long on a lot of these shots, potentially throwing with a bit of a carefree attitude, sitting in a comfortable lead. She may just be looking to pure her lines and have a bit of fun here. Obviously, still a lot of golf to play. Anything can happen. Marianne there with the lefty line, overturning it just a touch, but getting a small fade back towards the basket at the end. I think she'll be left with another long look for her to try and translate into a birdie. Anniken also shaping the turnover, but with a touch more overstability, really hits that gap nicely and is in a great spot. That was very smooth.
These players really making that gap look easy, even though it is a bit tight. Amanda with a bit of an early release here, but gets a good kick actually to the fairway. That looked to be going towards the left side rough, and now she has only about 45 meters left to the basket. Opting to go with that flex forehand and another great kick towards the basket. Hope she can utilize that great kick with a good par putt from there. As Marianne just comes up low from that uphill circle 2 look.
Yeah, and with Marianne's putting style, it's very much a straight line, not much loft. If it doesn't get above the height of the cage initially, it's rare that it rises. Amanda with another opportunity where she catches lots of chains but unable to stick it. I think for her today, the difference of centimeters potentially changing her score, as we see Anniken with a very solid putt, capitalizing off a good tee shot. Silva here, so close off the backstop, just has a short tap into the chains for her birdie as she continues to maintain her lead. It's tough to catch her right now. If you look at that scoreboard for Silva, that's 3 in the last 4. You mentioned the back 9 being very scoreable, but also sometimes that means that there's not much separation on a lot of these holes.
Yeah, and a bit more pressure on getting those birdies compared to the front 9, I believe. As we see a couple of birdies, a par, and that unfortunate bogey from Amanda. Moving on to hole number 14. Playing at 98 meters uphill, so real distance probably closer to 110 or 105. You have to either choose the right side of the middle tree at the beginning of the flight or the left side. Important to have that height control in check. You don't want to throw anything too high to challenge the ceiling, but also it is very common that you see players just hitting the ground too early. It's a difficult birdie, but with the great shot, these players are looking to hopefully have a chance for the putt, or at least an easy approach here.
Oh, and Silva really using some understability to get the distance as well as fight uphill. I think she hit a quite unorthodox gap there, but with a fantastic result. She slid her way to just outside bullseye. A more traditionally shaped shot here from Anniken, who comes up just shy of that protective barrier for the sapling. I love that touch. I love that little extra bit of care, acting as both an obstacle for the disc, but also keeping that young tree healthy.
Yes, it's great to see. And this course, you could see the course had gotten a lot of love from all the volunteers and the organizers. So huge shout out to the tournament organization for hosting a great event here. As we saw, Marianne heising out early on the right side, Amanda on the opposite side also heising out early. Some troubles here from Amanda, and as they continue hitting that stump with the forehand approach, really tough to see her struggle here on the back nine, but very talented player, so I'm sure she will get it together on the final 4 holes here.
Yeah, and she's had really a couple moments of greatness, just some unforced errors as well as some struggles on these very thick roughs. Once you leave the fairway, this course can be quite unforgiving at times. As we see now the approaches that are left from the card. Marianne sneaking one in the back door there over those bushes will have a short putt remaining for her par. And Amanda now to put that one in. Glad to see her cash that one. A good bogey save after hitting the stump. There's not so much you can do at that point. You are effectively playing for bogey, and she connects with that as Silva finds another birdie here on 14, showing off her distance as well as her putt to translate that.
Yeah, this is a great birdie to get on this back nine. And I believe Silva was actually the only player in the field to get that elusive birdie. So really separating herself from everybody on the field, not only this card. Moving on to the short technical hole 15. You see this gap early in the flight is very tight, only about 3 meters across. After hitting this gap, you want to move slightly to the right, either with a left-hand backhand hyzer or a right-hand backhand turnover. Also see some righties throwing a forehand here. Just have that OB only about 5 meters left of the basket, so if you play the safe shot more to the right, then you're gonna have a scary putt towards OB. This is actually also heading towards the OB of the tee.
Oh, but what a roll to come back in off the RPM banner. Went out of bounds, hit it, came back in through the stake. A really fortunate result for Silva. And a very smooth shot there from Anniken. Buttery smooth slide, fighting up the hill, playing naturally for the left-handed hyzer. We will see Marianne now try and match that line, but the early right side tree, she will still have some gaps and distance to contend with.
Yeah.
As Amanda, unfortunately, not quite finding her stride here, but you see her take a moment and compose herself, just going shot by shot at this point.
Yeah, really struggles continuing here, as we see Marianne has to only lay up halfway up the fairway there. Gonna still have a tricky approach, as Amanda is going for the green, but unfortunately fading to the left OB. Gonna be another stroke on the card, but Amanda, somebody that's always in good spirits despite the struggles. I'm sure she will still have a smile on the face after this hole. Putting for 4 here, and even has a terrible roll off the base of the basket. This is starting to be a little bit unfair, I feel.
Yeah, she just barely sneaks OB to a similar spot where Silva kicked back from. Speaking of, she gives that a long bid just off the band. Really confident, especially on this slightly elevated basket from way deep. Anniken here for her long look. Gives it the stepper and drains it. Look at her run that one in. Really nice. Securing the 2 here on 15.
Incredible putt, and another incredible putt from Marianne for the double bogey. And Amanda there Unfortunately, missing it low. It's a scary putt from that angle, looking straight directly towards the OB. And Silva there with a par, continuing that clean, hot back nine. But Anniken really getting a lot of strokes on the card with that birdie. Going over to hole 16, playing 92 meters, slightly uphill. There's this left side gap you have to hit with your drive and ideally move a little bit right at the end. There's this couple of trees on the left that collect a lot of good shots that are trying to make their way towards the basket. Just hitting some of those late trees. A really difficult hole to park, but quite often we see players being a little bit short and left.
And another slightly uphill fairway. Nose angle control and height control really important. We see a good shot by Anniken there to work her way to just within the circle. She'll be looking at a putt and a pure flight from her there. Silva looks like she had a bit of a unbalanced release there. A slight lean forwards, which is a bit uncharacteristic, but a good shot regardless.
Yeah, went through the whole right side woods, hitting some of those skinny gaps. Marianne with a low shot there, as you said, quite not managing the nose angle control here. I think this hole really advantages the left-handed players, as they can throw a very natural shape, throw it flat through the gap and hopefully have that fade to the right at the end. As Amanda is almost hitting the gap, but just pulls it a bit right, hits one of the early trees, and gonna have a difficult approach still from there to that elevated basket. You can see there's still a lot of trees to miss from here.
Oh, but she only barely misses the basket. That's the only thing she was concerned with. Looking like she wanted to give that one a bid, and she did just that. We see Marianne there with the forehand approach, connecting with that last tree that you mentioned, often beating people out from the green. And Anniken here, just outside the circle, a look for her birdie. And she goes 2 for 2 on 15 and 16, cashing the step putts. Really incredible, as she's now looking very well put together.
Wow, incredible putt from Anniken, and twice in a row from circle 2. Even possibly making Silva a little bit nervous about that circle 1 putt, missing it just barely low. No, just kidding. I'm sure she didn't feel any pressure from the competitors there. Just a little bit of a low putt, as Marianne also with a great putt there. And Amanda. Great to see that par after a couple of struggles on the last 4 holes.
Great to see some good performances on the green here. It's an interesting, thing to note that it can come into the player's psychology. Obviously, you want to isolate yourself and play your own game on the course, but how the players around you are performing can very much influence your play on the day.
Yeah, definitely, and depending on the player, whether it's positive or negative. As we move on to 17, 97 meters, slightly downhill this time. Want to throw something straight, ideally not too high, because the left side of the green is sloping away, so it is easy to fade out to the left with the right hand, or fade out to the right with the left hand, putting that or inviting that right side OB into play. So important to just keep the disc low and going straight the whole way.
Anniken there really using the width of the fairway, catching those branches. Fortunately spits back into the middle there with an open look now to the basket. She'll have another circle 2 opportunity as she looks to try and hold that momentum. Silva now with that low pushing flight that you mentioned. She gives it a legit run and once again fires long. I don't know what Silva had for breakfast, but it's working because she has a lot of juice here today off the tee.
Yeah. Many shots, having a lot of pace and giving it a run on many of these holes. As this hole, it is pretty easy to do so. As Marianne is throwing the perfect line and in the basket for the ace. Hole in one on this 97-meter hole. Incredible. You could really see it out of hand. It was looking perfect with the angle. Wow.
Just as we mention it, speak of the ace run, Marianne steps up and drains it in one. Here, hole 17, round 2 of the Swedish Open. That's an incredible thing to see. The lead card ace on camera. Fantastic stuff there by Marianne Must, and a solid shot by Amanda to follow up there on the good energy being felt by the gallery and card.
Yeah, talking about the psychology between other players playing good. I think from an ace, everybody gets a good boost of energy to their own play. As we see Anniken almost draining a third putt in a row from circle 2, just barely low there.
Yeah, she's looking lethal today. We see Silva coming back up the hill from deep. So confident and just such a well-centered putt. Really no danger of left or right. Had all the height to make sure it goes in. But Amanda firing long. You see her coming back now for par. And just off the top, she will be tapping in a bogey as she gets off the bogey train on 16. On 17, unfortunately, she steps back on there as she takes another 4. Hopefully she can end out her round in a strong way on 18. Anniken securing the par, Silva the 2, and Marianne still taking the box despite a birdie on the card with a sick ace.
Wow, that was one of the most exciting shots I have seen this year, for sure. Hopefully bringing that excitement into hole 18. Difficult par 4, playing slightly downhill off the drive. You see this rock wall on the right is OB. You need to stay on the flat part of the fairway. Navigate right side of that Mando tree you see on the left. From the perfect drive you still have about 85 meters or 80 meters left of this uphill left to right sloping green. So on the approach you can really throw it as hard as you want to if you just fade left, either at the basket or slightly before. Very difficult drive for the left-handed players as they have to throw it straight with good turn.
But an unfortunate mistake there for Marianne, potentially still feeling that adrenaline wearing off after the ace on 17. It can be tough to really focus yourself again after an incredible moment like that on the course. And Silva here with a nice correction, hits that gap purely, and as she looks to fade around that corner, that is an ideal spot. Really incredible shot that gives her an open look to the green. That is really how you do it.
Yeah, that was huge. Huge distance and perfectly in the middle there. And Anniken, hopefully trying to match the in the middle part, takes a bad roll towards OB but just barely stays safe. Still gonna be a long ways to the basket, but the angle from there is very good as she's close to the right side of the fairway, really opening up that left-hand turnover. As we see Amanda continuing with the struggles, pulling it right, and although that is not OB, it's a tough spot, many trees to contend with here just to get to the fairway. But she does it actually pretty well in the sweet spot there after 2 shots, so still possible to save that par.
Marianne here shaping that awkward left-handed shot, but really nice angle control and a good pace as she settles herself in the center fairway. Always nice to see the poise and composure on that awkward patent-pending backhand. This is Amanda here battling up the fairway, not quite reaching the green yet. She still has some distance to bite off going up the final gap.
Yeah, decent shot there, and still a possible run from 25 meters away as the green is very much sloped behind the basket. Anniken there leaving it a little bit low, but once again only about 25 to 30 meters left there.
Oh, and a little kick off that wooden staircase. It looks like all the terrain coming into play here. The end of our round 2. This is Silva from an immaculate tee shot and a less than ideal result, getting a cut roll off the hill, but still very well positioned. As she's shown, her putting is looking great today. Anniken left with a chip forehand, able to run it, as you mentioned, that sloping green offering the backstop, and she digs it right behind the chains.
Yeah, almost ringing up another incredible highlight, like we see on the last hole from Marianne. Amanda not opting to run it, just lays it up. It was a tough back nine, but I'm sure she will come back from that stronger and learn, as we see Silva. Insane back nine.
An incredible round.
Insane. 6 under. That's probably one of the hottest rounds of the season, I would think.
She's shredding. She's obviously coming off the win at the Krokal Open. She's looking really well put together. Already in round 1 had a significant lead, and here in round 2 just stepped it up another level, as she is now sitting at 11 under total, 5 under in round 1, 6 under in round 2. Just an incredible performance from Silva so far. So we see Anniken end her round with that par here, ending 3 under, and Amanda with a short tap in bogey. A difficult round and a particularly difficult back nine for her, but still showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, and that is it for the round 2. Silva Saarinen, as we said, absolutely shredding the course, extending that lead to 8 strokes over Anniken, who also had a decent round of 2 under. Rounding out our lead card for tomorrow is Sofia Björlucke, come and see on the lead card from this season, and Lykke Lorentzen. Everybody on the lead card tomorrow playing under par today, which is a great score. Thank you, Connor.
Elias, it was a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who joined in today, and make sure to catch us on round 3 for the exciting conclusion of the 2023 Swedish Open. We appreciate you all, and we will see you there.